Hey everybody, Lars here with another episode of Treknicity Live. That show where no topic about Trek is taboo. Or maybe it is, I don't know. So I'm back here again, just wanting to talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing here. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my view on the future of Trek. There's been a lot of talk about it lately, especially with some news coming out about Patrick Stewart returning to the franchise in a show centering on the future of Captain Picard, as well as the second season of Star Trek Discovery coming up. So I thought I'd get on here a little bit and have a chat to you about it and just see where we go from there. So this show, Treknicity Live, is a way for me to kind of keep everything fresh, keep everything going on my mind, and get myself prepared as I do the more produced version of my show, which is going to have more segments. I'm going to be doing reviews on episodes, different series, and of course doing some interviews. So now I like to just kind of talk to you one-on-one and do it live, and hopefully if some people want to watch this and maybe converse with me, and we'll go from there. So with the future of Star Trek, there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not the franchise has become worn out, whether or not it is basically past its prime, joke, or if it really just needs to take a rest and then come back. Right now, actually, I thought at one point I probably would have agreed that the thing we need to do with the series or the whole franchise is just let it drop. We had a drop with things right after Enterprise finished about 13 years ago, and I thought it's probably time to retire this entire franchise and let it go, because UPN kind of just tossed away a series as it was finally getting good. But no, really, I like watching the new series Star Trek Discovery. I wasn't really all that into it to begin with, just because I just really didn't like the look and feel. I thought it was going to be them trying to put an Abrams verse spin on the whole Prime universe, because they promised us that they would be back in the Prime universe, but nothing was the same. Nothing felt like it was the Prime universe. It was like they were just kind of spit polishing it to make it look the way they thought we wanted it to look. And of course the fans are just kind of like whatever. However, I have to be honest with you, I am very much a convert, and I enjoy the show. And for anybody watching right now, yes, that is my cat going crazy in my house, because I guess she just enjoys playing at this time of night. So why bother trying to keep her out of it, huh? With again, coming back to Star Trek Discovery, the show initially for me was like meh, but I decided I was going to give it a go. I was going to give it a real chance and let it run its course and see what happened. I'm glad that I did. I'm really glad that I did, because the thing is, the show is good. The writing is good. The actors are great. And the stories, they're kind of getting back a little bit to that real swashbuckling Western in space, wagon trail to the stars kind of vibe. Even though they kind of, we won't talk about the Klingons right now or things like that. But anyways, I really feel like, if they keep going the way they're going, that there is actually a pretty promising future for Star Trek. The show itself has been on now, as of September 8th of this year. It's been on for 52 years in one form or another. And I'm watching my cat as she goes crazy behind me. But the show has been going since September of 66, and I thought to myself, nothing can top the original series, and then TNG came out in the 80s, and I thought nothing can top top Next Generation. I thought, no way. And then DS9 came out. I was like, wow, man, these guys really know what they're doing with it. They're really steering with it. And then Voyager came out, and I was like, okay. But I have actually, over the years, since I've started watching more of it, have learned to enjoy each step that they make as they I climbed the ladder of evolution with Star Trek. It was like with a series when Enterprise came out, I was like, I don't know. I really know if they're going to do this, if they're going to do a good job with it. I know it sounds like I don't have a lot of faith in the showrunners, but when you're a diehard Trekkie like me or Trekker, it's really tough to accept a new Star Trek. I mean, there are some people out there who absolutely will not watch anything but the original series. There are some people who live and die by Voyager, TNG, Enterprise, just whatever your favorite series is, or spinoff, whatever. But one thing that has become really, really clear to me since I've kind of got into a Trek funk is that you just have to take a leap of faith. You have to let these guys try it and see what they're doing, see where they're going to go with it, because you might become surprised and pleasantly surprised at that. I know I was. Discovery definitely, blew me away when the further it went along. I got more engaged in the story. I started finding myself at 5:30 Pacific time on Sunday thinking, come on, let's go. I was ready for it, and then I was ready to see the episode. And, to such a degree that even though it has been in hiatus while they prep for season 2, I've kept the CBS All Access service going. I thought, that's actually, I think that was a good sign for me that I'm willing to stick with it for a while. The other thing is, of course, that was announced recently is that there's going to be a new series coming out developed by CBS. It's going to be another CBS All Access show revolving around the future career and life of Captain Picard. And, of course, Sir Patrick Stewart has announced that he will be back to reprise that role, which, of course, is fantastic. Everybody's going nuts because Sir Patrick, come on, dude. To me, very, very few fine actors above him that I can say. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody's seen, they've seen the X-Men movies, they've seen, of course, the Star Trek series, let's face it. It's just one of those things where, holy cow, we've got some forward momentum. We've got traction. Maybe we do actually have a good future for Star Trek. The other thing that's really kind of got me going, since I've sort of invested myself in watching Discovery, I started to slowly climb out of this Trek funk that I've been in. The Trek funk happened mainly after the whole ugliness of the CBS and Paramount lawsuit against Alec Peters' fan production Axanar. Now that is something I will cover in another episode. More than likely, I'll probably cover that in a longer produced episode, just because there's a lot to talk about and there's a lot of opinions on the whole matter. So, I started to get into this funk. I really didn't want to watch Star Trek. I didn't want to be associated with it. I mentioned in my first Treknicity Live episode that what I was doing was, I was just, not even wanting to do anything. I mean, I even joined Starfleet, the international fan base, and got nowhere with it. And, and it's still been, actually, to be honest with you, has been a little bit of a hill climb just to get anywhere. And yeah, I mean, I just want this I want to get back into it. I want to do more with Star Trek. It kind of sucks that the outcome of the CBS and Paramount lawsuit kind of cut the fans off at the knees who had wanted to do their own productions. I mean, there were some that were able to finish, like thankfully Star Trek Continues was allowed to finish their run. They had permission to do so. They had crowdfunded money. They had produced the episodes. They just had to kind of, finish them, watch and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I mean, the thing is that when it comes down to it, I am, of course, I'm a huge lover of Star Trek. There is probably no fan-based franchise that I love more than that. And that being said,
fan-based franchise.
I just want to kind of put it out there that, holy cow, there's a real future here. There is an absolute real future for Star Trek. I'm hoping that there's actually some more movies. Now, I'm not a big fan. Like, I really am not a big fan of the Kelvin timeline movies. Not because I thought they were particularly bad, but I just thought that they had made a lot of changes and a lot of they messed with a lot of things that didn't really need to be. I know they were trying to make a movie series for non-Star Trek fans. They were trying to revitalize the franchise. They were trying to bring people who were not Star Trek fans in to the fandom, and I get that. I still remember sitting there back in 2009 watching the first Star Trek movie and thinking, all right, okay, so we've got these new actors, all these, the actors coming in to play the classic roles, which initially for me was a little hard to swallow, but whatever, I'll get over it. I got over it. And especially, there's the, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, in the first movie, there's a scene where young Kirk steals the car that is owned by his mother, and of course he's on a phone call with his stepfather who threatens him and so on and so forth, and then he goes and takes off. He hits the music button, and of course Sabotage by Beastie Boy comes on, and I've always wanted to have rock music, real rock music in Star Trek. I was like, yeah, come on. And I was really into it, and I was like, yeah, this is kick-ass. And then they went and did some stupid crap, and I was like, oh, you guys messed with a whole bunch of stuff that just didn't need to be touched. Really didn't. And so I didn't really like the movie in the end. I was very, very negative of it. So I thought, okay, they announced they're going to do Star Trek Into Darkness. Okay, let's try it again. I'll give them another chance. Look, hey, everybody has there was their first outing. Let's give them a chance. And of course, actually, I forgave J.J. Abrams for what he did to Star Trek when I saw Star Wars Episode 7. So it's like, okay. But then, of course, Star Trek Into Darkness came out, and for me, it got worse. It's like, oh my God. You guys you don't get it. You're rehashing a story, thinking everybody's going to get whipped into a frenzy over it, and we don't care because the better one came out 30 years beforehand. Like, holy cow, dude. Whatever. So, but then Star Trek Beyond came out, and whatever it was, they brought in Justin Lin. He did this sort of a more punchy, more let's be real action about it. I thought, okay, all right. It's worth noting that is actually my favorite of the Kelvin timeline movies so far. But I was really seriously concerned about the future, whether or not there was actually or if we were watching the death knell of my favorite franchise. With that being said, it's just, oh my God, it was, of course, it drove me into a massive funk about things, and I just didn't want to be involved in anything to do with Star Trek. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't, listen to any audiobooks or read in fact, actually, I was part of one of the largest, if not the largest, Star Trek Facebook fan groups, and it got to the point where I just said, you know what, screw this, I'm done. And I actually left the group because I just got tired of seeing it in my feed every day, all day long, every day. Everybody expounding how wonderful Star Trek is, and how how all this cool stuff is going on, and I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. So that being said, I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad I was wrong about the future. Let's just say that, with things going the way they're going, I'm pleased to see that they're taking real steps toward making Star Trek again more accessible and more relevant to everybody, not just people who have watched it for years or who have watched it for a couple of years or who are, like me, dyed-in-the-wool Trekkies. Yeah. So that being said, I would definitely say I'm very, very pleased to see where things are going right now. Hopefully they will continue into the future. And yeah, we'll just see where it goes from there. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off now. I am heading back into subspace, everybody. So until next time, rock out with your Spock out. See you, folks.